Have you ever felt trapped in the constant need to please everyone around you? The exhausting cycle of always saying yes, softening your words, and sacrificing your own boundaries just to avoid conflict or disappointment. What if I told you that this well-meaning softness might be holding you back, not only from your own peace but also from truly helping those around you? Today, we embark on a powerful exploration of an ancient philosophy that challenges the conventional wisdom of being soft to everyone. We'll uncover how true compassion is not just about being kind, but also about being wise, and how, sometimes, the most compassionate thing you can do is to say no, set boundaries, or even walk away. We'll draw on the timeless teachings of the Buddha, a man who, over 2 millennia ago, illuminated a path to inner peace and liberation. His journey wasn't just about kindness, it was about balance, discernment, and understanding when softness becomes a burden rather than a gift. Through these teachings, we'll uncover practical insights that are just as relevant today as they were centuries ago. This isn't just a discussion. It's an invitation to rethink how you approach relationships, how you define compassion, and how you navigate the delicate balance between being kind and being strong. If you've ever struggled with feeling taken for granted, misunderstood, or emotionally drained, this episode is for you. So, whether you're listening on your morning walk, relaxing after a long day, or seeking clarity during a moment of reflection, settle in. This is more than a podcast. It's a transformative journey into the heart of wisdom, the power of boundaries, and the art of living with purpose. Let's begin. 2. The life of the Buddha and the foundation of balance. To understand why softness must be balanced with wisdom, let's take a moment to journey back in time, over 2.5 millennia ago, to the life of one of history's greatest spiritual teachers, Gautama Buddha. His story is not just one of enlightenment, but also a powerful testament to the importance of discernment, balance, and intentionality in every aspect of life. Born into a life of privilege as Siddhartha Gautama, he had everything a person could dream of: wealth, power, comfort. Yet, even as a young prince, he felt an unshakable emptiness. He saw suffering all around him: poverty, illness, death, and realized that no amount of luxury could shield him from the deeper truths of life. And so, at the age of 29, he made a decision that would forever change the course of human history. He left his palace behind. He left behind wealth, family, and the promise of kingship to embark on a quest to understand the roots of human suffering. For years, Siddhartha wandered as a seeker, practicing extreme asceticism, pushing his body and mind to the brink. But here's the profound lesson he learned: extremes, whether indulgence or denial, never bring lasting peace. It was only when he embraced the middle way, a path of balance between excess and deprivation, that he found what he was looking for. Under the shade of the Bodhi tree, after nights of deep meditation, Siddhartha attained enlightenment, becoming the Buddha, the awakened one. But his story doesn't end there. What makes the Buddha's teachings timeless is their simplicity and universality. He didn't keep his insights to himself. Instead, he shared them with anyone willing to listen, regardless of caste, gender, or background. And at the core of his teachings lies a framework that holds immense relevance to our topic today: the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Let's start with the Four Noble Truths, a cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy. These truths serve as a roadmap to understanding life's challenges and discovering liberation from suffering. 1. The first noble truth teaches us that suffering is an inevitable part of human existence. Whether it's physical pain, emotional heartbreak, or the subtle dissatisfaction of never feeling enough, suffering is universal. But here's the key: simply being soft and accommodating to everyone doesn't solve the root causes of suffering. It's like putting a bandage on a wound without treating the infection. True transformation begins with acknowledging and understanding the reality of suffering. 2. The second noble truth points to the cause of suffering: our attachments and cravings. Think about how often we're soft to others because we crave their approval or fear their rejection. This attachment to validation can chain us to behaviors that don't serve us or them. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us to step back, observe our attachments, and let go where necessary, not from a place of coldness, but from a place of clarity and balance. 3. The third noble truth is one of hope. Suffering can end by addressing its root causes, our attachments, fears, and cravings. We can liberate ourselves from the cycles of pain. Imagine how freeing it would feel to approach relationships without constantly seeking validation or approval, to give and receive kindness without strings attached. That's the promise of this truth. 4. Finally, the fourth noble truth offers a path forward, the Eightfold Path. This is not just a list of ethical guidelines. It's a practical toolkit for navigating life's complexities with wisdom, compassion, and intention. Now, let's touch briefly on the Eightfold Path. It's divided into 3 main areas: ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. Each step: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, guides us toward living a life of balance and authenticity. When it comes to relationships, these principles teach us when to be gentle, when to be firm, and how to navigate the gray areas in between. For example, right speech encourages us to speak truthfully and kindly, but it doesn't mean staying silent when silence enables harm. Right action calls for us to avoid harm, but it also reminds us to act with discernment, setting boundaries when necessary to protect our own well-being and the well-being of others. The Buddha's life and teachings show us that true compassion isn't about being endlessly soft or agreeable. It's about showing up authentically, with both an open heart and a discerning mind. This balance, the middle way, is what leads to lasting peace, both within ourselves and in our relationships. As we move forward, we'll explore how these principles apply to everyday life, offering practical examples and timeless wisdom for navigating the challenges of being compassionate without losing ourselves. But first, let's consider why unbalanced softness can sometimes cause more harm than good. 3. Why blind softness can hurt more than help. Why always being soft isn't always the answer. At first glance, being soft, kind, gentle, and accommodating might seem like the right way to approach every relationship. After all, isn't compassion one of the highest virtues? But what if I told you that softness, when unchecked, can sometimes do more harm than good, not just to yourself, but also to the people you're trying to help? Let's dive into why blind softness can backfire and how wisdom, not just kindness, is the key to navigating life's complexities. When softness becomes a burden, consider this. Have you ever said yes when you meant no? Have you avoided confrontation, not because you believed it was the right thing to do, but because you were afraid of upsetting someone? These moments, while well-intentioned, can lead to a dangerous pattern. Over time, excessive softness can drain your energy, erode your self-worth, and even enable harmful behaviors in others. Softness, when untethered from wisdom, often stems from a fear of rejection, a craving for approval, or an aversion to conflict. But here's the paradox. By being perpetually soft, you may inadvertently create more suffering, both for yourself and for the very people you wish to support. When we fail to set boundaries, we teach others to disregard them. When we avoid difficult conversations, we allow misunderstandings to fester. True compassion requires more than softness. It demands discernment. Compassion versus enabling. At the heart of this discussion lies a crucial distinction: the difference between genuine compassion and enabling harmful behavior. Compassion seeks to understand and alleviate suffering, while enabling allows destructive patterns to continue unchecked. Think of it this way. If a friend is walking toward a cliff, is it more compassionate to gently warn them, or to say nothing in the name of preserving harmony? True compassion is not always easy. Sometimes, it means setting boundaries or having uncomfortable conversations. The Buddha himself emphasized this balance. His teachings remind us that compassion must be paired with wisdom to truly serve others. Without discernment, our attempts at kindness can unintentionally perpetuate suffering, both in ourselves and in those we aim to help. The middle way, finding balance in relationships. This brings us to one of the Buddha's most profound principles, the middle way. As we discussed earlier, The middle way is about avoiding extremes, not being overly indulgent, nor overly harsh. When applied to relationships, it means finding a balance between kindness and firmness, between empathy and accountability. The middle way invites us to ask ourselves, am I being soft out of love or out of fear? Am I enabling someone's harmful behavior? Or am I guiding them with wisdom and compassion? This principle reminds us that being kind does not mean being passive. It's about approaching each situation with clarity, intention, and a deep commitment to what truly serves the well-being of all involved. The consequences of imbalance. When we're too soft, we risk losing ourselves. We might feel taken for granted, overwhelmed, or even resentful. But when we swing to the opposite extreme, being overly rigid or detached, we risk causing unnecessary pain or alienating those around us. The middle way offers an antidote to this imbalance. It's a path of thoughtful action, one that allows us to show up authentically, with both an open heart and a steady mind. As we move forward, let's explore practical ways to apply these ideas in daily life. How can we set boundaries with kindness? How can we navigate difficult situations without losing our compassion? The answers lie in embracing the wisdom of balance, one step, one interaction at a time. 4. Practicing balance, boundaries, wisdom, and compassion. Practicing balance in everyday life. By now, we've explored why unbalanced softness can cause harm and the importance of pairing compassion with wisdom. But how do we bring this balance into our everyday lives? How can we practice discernment in relationships without losing our kindness or humanity? In this section, we'll look at practical ways to embody the middle way, from setting boundaries to navigating conflict with clarity and compassion. Setting boundaries with compassion. Let's start with boundaries, a word that often feels at odds with kindness. Many of us struggle to set limits because we fear being perceived as unkind or unloving. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to healthier relationships. They allow us to protect our well-being while respecting the needs of others. Setting boundaries isn't about saying no to people. It's about saying yes to mutual growth and understanding. For example, imagine a friend who frequently asks for your help but rarely reciprocates. Instead of feeling drained or resentful, you can set a clear but compassionate boundary. I value our friendship and want to support you, but I also need to make time for my own responsibilities. Let's find a way to balance this. This kind of communication protects your energy while fostering mutual respect. Facing negative behavior with wisdom. What about dealing with harmful behavior? How do we address it without losing our patience or compassion? This is where the middle way shines. Rather than reacting with harshness or passivity, we can respond with mindfulness and intention. The Buddha often taught about the importance of responding, not reacting. Reacting comes from a place of impulse, anger, frustration, or fear. Responding, on the other hand, comes from a place of awareness and thoughtfulness. When faced with negative behavior, take a moment to pause, breathe, and assess the situation. Ask yourself, what is the most compassionate and wise way to address this? Sometimes, this might mean having a direct but respectful conversation. Other times, it might mean stepping away to protect your peace. Either way, responding with wisdom creates the space for transformation, for both you and the other person. The art of compassionate but firm communication. One of the most powerful tools for practicing balance is mastering the art of compassionate but firm communication. This means expressing yourself honestly while remaining mindful of the other person's feelings. Here's an example. Instead of avoiding a difficult conversation, try framing it with empathy. Begin with an acknowledgement of the other person's perspective. I understand that you're feeling overwhelmed, and I want to help. Then, clearly state your boundary or concern. However, I also need to ensure that I'm not overextending myself. Can we find a solution that works for both of us? This approach shows that you care while still prioritizing your own well-being. Remember, firmness doesn't mean cruelty. It means standing by your values and needs with kindness and respect. Practical techniques for balanced interactions. To put these ideas into practice, consider incorporating mindfulness into your daily interactions. Here are a few simple but effective techniques. Pause before responding. Give yourself a moment to breathe and reflect before reacting to challenging situations. Use I statements. Speak from your own perspective rather than assigning blame. For instance, say, "I feel overwhelmed," instead of "you're overwhelming me." Stay present. Focus on the current moment rather than bringing up past grievances. Mindfulness helps keep the conversation grounded and constructive. Practice active listening. Truly hear the other person's concerns before offering your perspective. Sometimes, people just want to feel understood. These techniques not only strengthen your relationships, but also reinforce your ability to navigate life's challenges with equanimity and grace. The path to authentic relationships. Ultimately, practicing balance isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It's about showing up authentically, even in difficult moments. By setting boundaries with compassion, addressing negativity with wisdom, and communicating firmly yet kindly, we can build relationships rooted in mutual respect and understanding. And in doing so, we honor the middle way, a path that brings peace not only to ourselves but to those around us. As we move forward, let's explore how the timeless lessons of Buddhist parables can further illuminate the path of balance and discernment. 5. Stories of wisdom. When softness needs to change. Sometimes, the most powerful lessons come not from theories or principles, but from stories, narratives that resonate with the challenges we face in our own lives. In this section, we'll explore two stories, one drawn from the rich tradition of Buddhist parables and another from modern life, both illustrating the profound wisdom of not being excessively soft. The parable of the raft, knowing when to let go. One of the most beloved parables in Buddhist teachings is the story of the raft. Imagine a man who comes upon a wide, rushing river. He needs to cross to the other side, but there's no bridge in sight. So, he gathers logs, vines, and leaves to build a raft. With great effort, he paddles across the river and reaches the other shore. Grateful for the raft's help, he considers carrying it on his journey, thinking it might be useful later. But as he walks, the raft becomes a burden, weighing him down. Eventually, he realizes the raft served its purpose, but it's no longer needed. He lets it go. The lesson? Softness, like the raft, is a tool. It can help us navigate difficult waters, offering comfort, building connections, and easing conflicts. But if we cling to softness when it's no longer useful, it can become a burden. Sometimes, true wisdom lies in knowing when to let go of softness and embrace discernment. A modern story, The Overworked Manager. Now, let's step into a more contemporary setting. Meet Sarah, a manager at a busy company. Sarah is kind-hearted and always willing to help. Whenever her team struggles, she steps in, taking on extra work, staying late, and saying yes to every request. At first, her team appreciates her dedication, but over time, they begin to rely on her too much, avoiding responsibility because they know Sarah will handle it. Sarah, meanwhile, starts feeling exhausted and resentful. She realizes that her softness, her inability to say no, is not only harming her but also preventing her team from growing. After some reflection, Sarah decides to make a change. She begins setting clear boundaries. "I'm here to support you, but I need you to take ownership of your tasks." At first, her team resists, but eventually, they step up. The result? A stronger, more independent team and a healthier, more balanced Sarah. Sarah's story shows that softness without boundaries isn't true kindness, it's enabling. By pairing her compassion with firmness, she created space for growth, not just for herself, but for those around her. Timeless lessons for modern life. Both of these stories, the raft and the manager, carry timeless lessons. They remind us that 1. Softness is a tool, not a rule. Use it when it serves the situation, but don't let it weigh you down. 2. Boundaries are acts of love. They protect your well-being and empower others to take responsibility for theirs. 3. Discernment is key. Knowing when to be soft and when to be firm is what transforms compassion into wisdom. Applying these lessons. How can we bring these lessons into our daily lives? Consider this. The next time someone asks for your help, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I helping them grow? Or am I taking away their opportunity to learn? When faced with a difficult situation, remember the raft. Hold on to softness when it's needed, but don't be afraid to let it go when the time comes. And if you find yourself in Sarah's shoes, feeling overwhelmed by the demands of others, take a step back. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of wisdom and care. By doing so, you honor both your own needs and the growth of those around you. Closing reflection. Stories have a way of staying with us, carrying wisdom in ways that words alone cannot. The parable of the raft and Sarah's journey are reminders that true compassion is never one size fits all. It's dynamic, adaptable, and rooted in the understanding that kindness without balance can do more harm than good. As we continue, let's explore even deeper how these timeless lessons intersect with Buddhist principles of impermanence and mindfulness. 6. The power of impermanence and mindfulness in relationships. The truth of impermanence. Why nothing stays the same. If there's one principle that underpins all of Buddhist philosophy, it's the truth of impermanence, the idea that everything, from our emotions to our relationships, is constantly changing. While this might seem unsettling at first, it's actually a source of profound wisdom and freedom. Understanding impermanence allows us to approach life with flexibility and resilience, knowing that no state of being, whether joy or suffering, lasts forever. But what does this mean in the context of not being overly soft with others? When we cling to the idea of always being agreeable or accommodating, we deny the reality of impermanence. Relationships, like everything else, evolve. A person who needed your softness yesterday might require your firmness today. By embracing impermanence, we can adapt to these changes with grace, responding to the needs of the moment rather than being stuck in a fixed pattern. Mindfulness as a compass. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in each moment without judgment, is one of the most powerful tools for navigating relationships. It helps us see situations clearly, free from the distortions of fear, attachment, or anger. With mindfulness, we can pause before reacting, allowing us to choose responses that align with both compassion and wisdom. For example, imagine someone close to you repeatedly crossing a boundary. Without mindfulness, you might react impulsively, either by lashing out in frustration or by silently enduring their behavior. Mindfulness offers a third way: to step back, acknowledge your emotions, and approach the situation with clarity. You might say, I care about you, and I want to maintain a healthy relationship, but for that to happen, I need us to respect this boundary. This response balances kindness with firmness, creating space for genuine understanding and growth. The gift of letting go. One of the hardest lessons of impermanence is learning to let go of expectations, attachments, and even relationships that no longer serve us. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing the need to control outcomes or hold on to things that are causing harm. In relationships, this might look like ending a toxic friendship, stepping back from a one-sided dynamic, or simply accepting that people and circumstances change. The Buddhist teachings remind us that clinging only creates suffering. By letting go, we free ourselves to embrace new possibilities and deeper connections. Practical steps to embrace impermanence and mindfulness. How can we integrate these ideas into our daily lives? Here are some practical steps to cultivate mindfulness and embrace impermanence in relationships. 1. Practice daily mindfulness meditation. Spend a few minutes each day observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. This practice builds the awareness needed to navigate complex interactions. 2. Reflect on change. Regularly remind yourself that everything, both joy and challenges, is temporary. This perspective fosters gratitude during good times and resilience during tough ones. 3. Observe without attachment when conflicts arise. Notice your immediate reactions. Are they rooted in fear or attachment? Use this awareness to choose a wiser response. 4. Set mindful intentions. Before entering a difficult conversation, pause and set an intention for how you want to show up, whether it's with patience, clarity, or openness. 5. Let go with love. If you find yourself clinging to a relationship or dynamic that's causing harm, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this serving my well-being and theirs? If not, consider letting go with compassion. Why this matters? When we embrace impermanence and practice mindfulness, we open ourselves to deeper, more authentic connections. We learn to navigate relationships with both kindness and clarity, unafraid of change, but grounded in the present moment. Most importantly, we free ourselves from the need to be perpetually soft, realizing that true compassion lies in responding to each situation with the wisdom it deserves. 7. The middle path in action. Balancing kindness and strength. Living the middle path. Balance in every step. We've spoken at length about the principles of balance, discernment, and the middle way. But what does this look like in real-life situations? The middle path is more than a philosophical ideal. It's a practical guide for navigating life's complexities with wisdom and compassion. In this section, we'll explore how to bring the middle way into action. From setting boundaries to handling conflicts and fostering meaningful relationships. Setting boundaries as an act of compassion. Imagine this. A loved one continuously asks for your time and energy, often without regard for your own needs. Out of kindness, you give and give, but over time, you begin to feel drained. This is where the middle way offers clarity. Setting boundaries isn't about rejecting the person or being unkind. It's about creating a space where both your well-being and theirs can thrive. A middle path approach might sound like this. I care deeply about you and want to support you, but I also need to make sure I'm taking care of myself. Let's find a way to balance this so we can both feel supported. This response is neither overly soft nor unnecessarily harsh. It's rooted in mutual respect and the recognition that sustainable relationships require balance. Navigating conflicts with mindfulness and patience. Conflicts are an inevitable part of human relationships. The middle path doesn't ask us to avoid them, but to approach them with mindfulness and patience. Let's take an example. A disagreement with a colleague at work. The temptation might be to either avoid the issue entirely to keep the peace or to confront it head-on with frustration. The middle way offers an alternative. Pause, reflect, and address the conflict constructively. Start by practicing active listening. Truly hear the other person's perspective without interrupting or planning your rebuttal. Then, respond thoughtfully. I understand where you're coming from, and I'd like to share my perspective as well. Let's work together to find a solution that works for both of us. This approach not only de-escalates tension, but also strengthens mutual understanding and respect. Empowering growth through tough love. The middle path sometimes requires what's known as tough love. This means offering guidance or setting limits, even when it's uncomfortable, because you care deeply about someone's growth. Think of a teacher who challenges their student to push past their comfort zone, or a parent who sets firm rules out of love. These acts, though they may feel difficult in the moment, are rooted in genuine care. For instance, if a friend is making self-destructive choices, being perpetually soft, ignoring their behavior to avoid confrontation, doesn't serve them. A middle path response might be, I care about you, and I want to see you thrive. I'm here to support you, but I also need to be honest about what I see happening. Let's talk about how I can help you make positive changes. This kind of tough love fosters accountability while still offering compassion. Balancing compassion and self-care. Another key aspect of the middle path is balancing your compassion for others with compassion for yourself. Too often, we equate self-care with selfishness, but the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking time to care for your own well-being isn't just beneficial for you. It makes you better equipped to show up fully for others. This might mean saying no to commitments that overwhelm you, taking time to recharge, or seeking support when you need it. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity, and when you honor your own needs, you model for others the importance of doing the same. Practical tips for walking the middle path. To bring the middle path into action in your daily life, consider these practical tips. 1. Pause before reacting. Take a breath and reflect before responding to challenging situations. 2. Balance yes and no. Practice saying yes to what aligns with your values and no to what drains your energy. 3. Communicate clearly and kindly. Use mindful language that expresses both care and firmness. 4. Reflect regularly. Take time to assess your relationships and actions. Are they balanced? Are you showing up authentically? 5. Practice gratitude. Acknowledge the moments when you successfully navigate challenges with balance. Gratitude reinforces these habits over time. Why the middle path matters. The middle path isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up with an open heart and a steady mind, choosing actions that align with both compassion and wisdom. By practicing this balance in our daily lives, we not only cultivate deeper relationships, but also create a sense of inner peace that radiates outward. As we move forward, let's reflect on how these lessons can empower us to live with greater intention, resilience, and joy. 8. Mindfulness and self-compassion, anchors of inner balance. The power of mindfulness, staying grounded in every moment. As we explore the art of balance, one truth becomes clear. Balance begins within. At the heart of this journey is mindfulness, the practice of being fully present, moment by moment, with an open and non-judgmental awareness. Mindfulness isn't just a tool for managing stress. It's a way of life that allows us to engage with the world from a place of clarity and intention. Imagine a stormy sea. Without mindfulness, we're like a small boat tossed by every wave of emotion and thought. But with mindfulness, we anchor ourselves, observing the waves without being swept away. This calm, steady presence is what enables us to respond thoughtfully to life's challenges, rather than reacting impulsively. Self-compassion, the foundation of true compassion. While mindfulness teaches us to observe, self-compassion teaches us to care for ourselves. Too often, we extend kindness to others while neglecting our own needs. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. To show up fully for others, you must first nurture yourself. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's recognizing that you, like everyone else, are a human being deserving of care and understanding. It's offering yourself the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. For instance, when you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, try saying, "I'm doing my best, and it's okay to stumble. This is part of being human." This simple shift can transform the way you approach challenges, allowing you to grow from a place of love rather than fear. Combining mindfulness and self-compassion. When practiced together, mindfulness and self-compassion become a powerful pair. Mindfulness helps us see our experiences clearly, while self-compassion helps us respond to them with care. Together, they allow us to navigate relationships and challenges with balance and grace. For example, if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by someone else's demands, mindfulness might help you recognize the signs of stress in your body, tight shoulders, shallow breathing. Self-compassion might then encourage you to pause and say, "I need to take care of myself right now." This combination not only prevents burnout, but also ensures that your kindness toward others remains authentic and sustainable. Practical ways to cultivate mindfulness and self-compassion. Integrating mindfulness and self-compassion into your daily life doesn't require hours of meditation or elaborate rituals. Here are some simple practices to get started. 1. Start your day with intention. Spend a few moments each morning reflecting on how you want to show up in the world, mindful, kind, and balanced. 2. Practice mindful breathing. Take a few deep breaths whenever you feel stressed, focusing on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. 3. Keep a self-compassion journal. At the end of each day, write down one kind thing you did for yourself and one thing you're proud of. 4. Use loving kindness phrases. Repeat phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease." To cultivate self-compassion. 5. Pause and check in throughout the day. Take a moment to ask yourself, "What do I need right now?" and honor the answer. Why mindfulness and self-compassion matter. Mindfulness and self-compassion are not just practices, they are ways of being. They allow us to stay grounded in the face of life's challenges, to extend kindness to ourselves and others, and to navigate relationships with wisdom and balance. Most importantly, they remind us that we are enough, not because of what we do or achieve, but simply because we exist. As we move toward the conclusion of this journey, let's reflect on how these practices can empower us to embody the wisdom of the middle way in every aspect of our lives. 9. The path forward, balance, wisdom, and compassion. The journey we've taken together. As we come to the end of this exploration, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've shared. From understanding the potential pitfalls of excessive softness to embracing the wisdom of balance, we've delved into the timeless teachings of the Buddha and their relevance in our modern lives. We've uncovered how true compassion requires discernment, how boundaries can be acts of love, and how mindfulness and self-compassion can anchor us amidst life's uncertainties. Living the middle way in a chaotic world, in a world that often pushes us toward extremes, either to be endlessly accommodating or rigidly unyielding, the middle way offers a beacon of clarity. It invites us to step away from the noise and find our center, to navigate relationships, challenges, and even our inner struggles with a balance of kindness and strength. This is not an easy path, but it is a profoundly rewarding one. The middle way isn't just about how we treat others, it's about how we treat ourselves. It's about recognizing that we, too, are deserving of the same care and consideration we offer to the world. By embodying this balance, we create ripples of harmony that extend beyond ourselves, touching everyone we encounter. A call to action. Applying these lessons, the real transformation begins not in listening but in living. As you move forward, I encourage you to reflect on how these teachings resonate with your own life. Are there places where you've been overly soft, sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of others? Or moments where you've been too rigid, shutting out connection or understanding? Use these insights as a compass, guiding you toward balance in every interaction. Remember, balance isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every small step you take, whether it's setting a boundary, practicing mindfulness, or offering yourself a moment of self-compassion, is a step toward greater peace and fulfillment. A final story, the lesson of the bamboo. Let me leave you with one final story. In many Buddhist traditions, the bamboo is seen as a symbol of balance and resilience. Why? Because bamboo is both strong and flexible. In a storm, it bends with the wind, but it doesn't break. It adapts to the forces around it while staying rooted in the ground. This is the essence of the middle way. To be firm, yet adaptable. To bend, but not break. To remain grounded, no matter how the winds of life may blow. May we all strive to live like the bamboo, strong, flexible, and rooted in the wisdom of balance and compassion. The journey continues. As we conclude this episode, I want to thank you for joining me on this exploration of wisdom and balance. Remember, the path of the middle way is not a destination but a lifelong journey, one that we walk together, step by step. May you carry these lessons into your life, and may they bring you closer to the peace and harmony you seek. Until next time, take care, stay mindful, and may your journey be filled with light and wisdom.